As I finished watching The Rise of Cobra while the obnoxious Black Eyed Peas song came on, I couldn't help but wonder if I had watched a live-action film or a very convincing-looking cartoon. It's evident that the writer's intention was to make a movie that captured the charming goofiness of the 80s cartoon while adding a modern twist. While I personally think this was a good idea, it's the execution that ultimately kills it. No pun intended. Every event, action scene, and plot point in G.I. Joe is so unbelievably ridiculous and over the top that would muster up a chuckle from Wile E. Coyote. Every motivation so vague that you might as well make up your own, and every character, well, you get the idea. In attempting to make a film that's lovably stupid, Stephen Sommers has thrown in so many excessive action scenes in cartoonish settings, nothing much feels much at stake other than the budget. The heroes are your standard issue action heroes, the villains are all mustache twirling masterminds, and none of them ever rise above these, with the exception of a few half-assed attempts at character interactions. I can't tell you much about the story because I couldn't find much of one, but from what I understand, bad guys have warheads, good guys have things that go in the warheads, the things that the bad guys have need to be weaponized before use, yada yada yada. The story merely boils down to a game of tag about who has the warheads. There are attempts at backstory and a few supposed plot twists, but they're all just tacked on to distract from the bare bones narrative. In fact, not only are the plot twists tacked on, but you've seen them a million times before, and most of them don't sync up with the rest of the story, creating a script that's simultaneously incredibly thin and unnecessarily convoluted. The characters, as previously mentioned, never rise above archetypal. The heroes shoot their guns and spout corny macho one-liners. The villains are all molded from the James Bond model, and none of the cast has the charisma or talent needed to make them appear as something more. If it weren't for the massive budget and overwhelming cartoonishness, this could have simply been titled Action Movie. Assuming that you're going for the action, you have little more reason to go see this movie. Every action scene lacks a sense of tension, direction, or any shred of plausibility or involvement. Instead, Sommers just shoots his action scenes with lots of quick cuts, zooms, and money shots, trying and failing to give the action an illusion of momentum or kineticism. Bringing these scenes down even further is the overabundance of special effects. They aren't just bland and uninteresting, but they look like they're from nearly a decade ago. If you gave the Power Rangers a budget of $175 million, they'd end up looking something like this. The Rise of Cobra's one strength is also its downfall. It doesn't take itself too seriously. While it is required if you're making a movie out of a cartoon and a line of toys, Sommers goes so over the top that it's difficult to care about any of the mayhem going on. This makes G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra an unengaging special effects extravaganza with a cut-and-paste script, uneven storytelling, fake-looking CGI, and a ridiculous screenplay that fails to connect on any levels, be they visceral or personal. I give this film a 1 out of 5. And I'd like to apologize if there's any sounds in the background. There's a guy cutting my lawn.